Northwest wild. Hunting, fishing is my kind of style. I float the Wainuchi when it gets hot. I'm proud of all the things that I've got. I'm digging them moss bags up in the sand, and after work a cold beer in my hand, picking wild berries off God's land, and drinking my buddy's homemade wine. Living Northwest wild. Hunting, fishing is my kind of style. I float the Wainuchi when it gets hot. I'm proud of all the things that I've got. I'm digging in moss bags up in the sand, and after work a cold beer in my hand, picking wild berries off God's land, and drinking my buddy's homemade wine. In the Northwest wild.
Hey guys, good evening. Welcome, Tommy Donlan, Captain Tommy Donlan, Duane England here live from Sekiu on the boat deck of the Cornivorous, the 29-foot Guadalupe, Defiance Guadalupe, and got out on the water today, Tommy.
We did. You know, I mean, the first decision point we had was the weather, right? And so if you looked at the weather, you know, and you don't know any better, and you look up the NOAA forecast, the first thing that you're going to see is a small craft advisory for the offshore portion off Mia Bay and La Push, right? 10 to 60 mile forecast. And so if you go by that, to be honest with you, you're not going to fish a lot of days. You're going to sit going to sit at the dock a lot of days.
Yeah, good point.
And so you really got to look at, you know, a lot more discrete data. And so we use a couple more tools at our disposal. Sail flow is one, windy, and then we also use the point forecast that NOAA has. So with NOAA, you can bring up the map and you can point to a location on the map that you want to get to, and it'll give you the forecast for that specific location. The other thing is they could get it all wrong. You don't know.
They
right?
could get it all wrong.
And so, you know, we have a saying, you got to go to know.
Yep.
If you don't go, you won't know, right? Know. And there's been a lot of days where they just flat out missed the forecast.
They got it wrong.
And it's calm.
Before we delve into how our morning started, everything that unveiled for us this mid-morning to afternoon, found some successes, a few hiccups along the way. Let's remind folks joining us a couple things. Fish on Northwest is presented each and every week by Defiance Marine, located in Bremerton, Washington, manufacturers of this fantastic vessel that we are so pleased to be fishing on today when you're out there in a ocean that's giving you a little bit of tossing around. And of course, Better Homes and Gardens, Pacific Commons, located in Puyallup, Washington. Joe Maxwell and team are always available to help you through these real estate woes, and I can assure you there's really nobody better locally who can get it done, as he helped us along the way, Tommy, to close that deal we had.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Joe and his team are fantastic. Check out Better Homes and Gardens, Pacific Commons in Puyallup, Washington. And then, of course, Phoenix Protective Corp. They are doing some amazing things. They have some positions always available. If you are previous and or retired military or police, please check out Phoenix Protective Corp, www.phoenixprotectivecorp.com, and see if employment there is suited for you. Now, that being said, we are coming to you live from Sekiu here, tied up in the marina. We got out on the water today, Tommy. You checked the weather going into this week. I mean, it's Thursday, so it's a halibut day, right?
Yep, it is a halibut day.
And so this place should just be teeming with folks, and it is. It's respectively, you know, a lot of boats around here, not like packed to the gills, but pretty darn busy. And it is a halibut day, which means you sit there and check on weather days ahead as we roll into this thing.
Yeah, you know, it's really weird because April we had a number of very calm flat water days, and you're thinking, oh, okay, well, May should be the same, better.
Yep.
No, not a chance. We've been getting our butts kicked since the beginning of May. This is the third halibut weekend, and there has been no relief whatsoever.
And not a very big dent in the quota at all.
No,
it's barely scratched. You know,
the Marine Area 3 and 4 quota.
Yeah.
The northern
let's back that up. Yeah,
the Westport quota is getting hammered pretty good.
Yeah, they had some weather issues as well on the days that they were going to fish through this weekend. So this weather's been hanging around, which actually made mention in the last several weeks in studio that weather windows are conducive to success, and may typically on the halibut grounds can be very, infrequent, just based on what rolls in, right? So you checked weather yesterday. We talked about it the last couple of days. We talked about it last night. The Beard and I rolled into town about 10 o'clock. We got up at 3, got to bed at midnight. 3 hours of sleep, and we're in the boat running and gunning. Because Nia Bay is closed and because we are leaving out of Sekiu, to get to the area we intended on fishing this morning for halibut, how long of a run is that?
So, to make up the difference between Sekiu and Nia Bay first, that's an additional 28 miles round trip, about 14 miles each way. The spot that I had picked out was about 55 to 60 miles from the dock here at Sekiu. And so it's quite the haul, and it's quite the commitment.
Yeah, you said it's going to be about a 3-hour ride with the weather rolling. Yeah, with a little bit of weather, and it was a bit bumpy. And we're heading out. We got 2 hours, a good 2 hours into it, maybe 2.5 hours. I think we're we're within 5 to 8 miles of our destination.
Yep.
Experienced a little issue, a little hiccup. Why don't you explain to folks kind of what we experienced and your method of approach, recognizing we are how many miles offshore now? We did have a buddy boat, which we'll remind you all about in conversation with a friend of ours. But things, as was said often today, expect the unexpected.
Yeah, well, where it started going wrong is we were talking about Kokanee. And then after that, it just went downhill from there. But no, we're still trying to figure out exactly what issues we were having. But basically, we suspect it could be fuel related. Not quite sure exactly yet, but we started losing power. Swapped out the fuel water separators. That didn't seem to do it, and we actually dumped them four times total.
4 times. Which means we stopped, shut down motors, you belly crawled on the deck of your boat, filter wrench in hand, dealing with fuel and water issues, dumping them out into buckets, checking to see. And we did have and produced a little bit of cloudy fuel. Put them back in place, get back going, motoring on out, shut down again, alarms going off. So cycled through that process 4 times, finally decided
we got to head back.
We got to head back. So we were this close to getting on the halibut grounds this morning. We were the sea was conducive to fishing. Had we landed out there, it really wasn't that bad. We had a weather window. You had made it a point when we left to say probably about 1 or 2 o'clock things are going to start turning up. So if we can get out there, we can fish.
Right. Yep.
And that was the goal. But we had an engine deal. When you're way out there in the ocean like that, you don't take chances.
Well, and I don't want to say it was like flat calm out there, because it wasn't flat. No. I mean, we were taking some spray.
We were committed, yes.
Yeah, and it was it was slow going. I think we were averaging about like 15 to 17 knots.
Yeah.
Usually I cruise at about 30 knots, so it was pretty slow.
Yep.
But it was never dangerous. The seas were never big.
Right.
Technically that was a small craft advisory is what they called it.
Yeah.
But it was really not a small craft advisory, at least where we were in that quadrant. The thing you got to remember is in these big NOAA marine quadrants for the forecast, it's a huge area, right? It's the 10 to 60 mile forecast. Well, we are not linearly from shore 60 miles out, right? And so there could be a corner of that big square where, it is a small craft advisory, but we were not, we weren't in it.
Yeah. So ultimately made the decision to turn around. Lo and behold, the engines performed flawlessly. The fuel issue, you decided is based on certain conditions that are repetitive as we're heading out, right?
It could be how the tank is oriented when it's picking up fuel, how the fuel's sloshing back and forth.
So we got some diagnostics to do whether or not we're able to fish the next few days. But that being said, we headed back into Inshore and decided to go after Lingcod and bass, rockfish. Yeah. And, it turned out to be pretty doggone successful.
Yeah, it was really good.
What do we end up with? 53 of our 56 limit, right?
Yeah. bass, and then
bass, rockfish, and of course 9 lingcod.
Yeah.
You still up, Jordan?
Yep.
Yeah, we got into them, fishing a lot of different jig combinations, different soft plastics, 1 2-ounce headed jigs, lead headed jigs, and that's your go-to.
Yep. 4-inch big hammer, anchovy, Pacific chovy, on a 2.5-ounce head.
Yeah.
And then we put a shrimp fly above that, and that accounts for a lot of fish in the deck.
Whacked and stacked.
Yeah.
I was running more of a split tail purple grub, kind of a scampi, and then also a red. Caught them both on that, both lingcod and the Seabass, and name a variety of fish. We caught almost everything that swims out there.
And then we had one lingcod come up that was pretty nice. It was caught on a live bait on a black rockfish.
So Gary is catching. He's retrieving a black rockfish that he hooked up on, and that lingcod, as you know, grabbed hold and committed the whole way.
Oh yeah,
that was the biggest lingcod of the day.
Buried the rod tip in the water. Took line with the fish in his mouth.
Yep.
But we still got him.
Still got him. After the fish box was getting pretty full, we were getting maybe 10 or 15 to go. I decided I was going to go back to dropping some bait down. I brought plenty of bait with me for bigger lings and halibut out on the halibut grounds. So I had brined up a number of the smaller kokanee we caught this last week. I know blasphemous to think we were using kokanee for bait. But
they were pretty small. They're too small to eat.
They're 10 and 11 inches, and if you want to fillet those out all day long, knock yourself out. I look at that as bait to upgrade or high grade the results. Right?
Yeah.
So
we call that a magic trick. By the way.
We all call that a magic trick. Yeah. I brought a number of trout, brought a number of kokanee, and we didn't exactly get on the halibut ground. So I thought, well, I'm going to drop one of these down for a bigger lingcod. Because we were catching some pretty decent sized lingcod, and there's got to be bigger ones down there, and I figured I would entice them with a bait. The rigging I was using is pretty simple. I got my Lingcod rod. Believe it or not, it's just the old ugly stick. The thing works fantastic. And I like to use, and we talked about this in the bait lab several weeks ago, Tommy, 8-inch spreader bar, direct tied to my braid. I don't have to be stealthy. These fish aren't looking at, visibility on braid or whatever. I'm using our 1 pound pipe jig, 1 pound pipe jig as a sticklet. It tends to get hung up in the rocks way less than, say, any other type of larger 1 or 2 pound sinker, right?
Yep.
Did lose one of these all day, so there's your, proof in the pudding, I guess. That is just your 8-inch spreader bar with a 1 pound pipe jig, no hooks, simply using that as the weight. And because of the copper, it's still giving off the electronic sensation or response of what the fish pick up on. So it is kind of twofold in that it's getting it down there and also making noise every time it hits the rocks. It's that whole thing still is involved. To my snap on there, I tie a 50-pound leader, and I got a double hook set up with a slider because when I'm fishing trout and kokanee of various sizes, I like to rig them accordingly, and I like to cinch that top hook down tight as I spout wrap them. It kind of holds everything together a lot more. This is one of the smaller rainbow. We used all the kokanee because, well, the kokanee flat out seemed to get it done. We did one pass after I switched over and just got annihilated.
You got bent.
Reeled up, kokanee completely gone, and thought, well, that was interesting. You and I were like, we're going to do that
we need to do this drift again.
So we come through on that drift. I dropped down another kokanee that I had spun up while Tommy was repositioning the boat. He says, let him go. It was less than a minute, and this lingcod rod tip absolutely buried almost under the boat.
That ugly stick was crying.
And then we happened to realize that, no, this isn't bottom, and it's probably not a lingcod. Pick that thing up, Tom.
You always have to wonder, though, right? Because it's like, oh, was that a head shake? Or was that the drag not being exactly smooth and going, And I know you're a great fisherman, so I'm like, oh, I got to trust Duane on this one.
You had to trust me. You asked me 3 times. Is it bottom?
Is it bottom?
No, but it's something on the bottom.
Yeah. And so the answer is...
Proof is in the pudding.
No, it is not bottom.
That right there. And we were, believe it or not, 65 feet of water. Using kokanee for bait. You guys have heard me for years talk about kokanee and trout and the benefits of, and at times applicable, they flat out work. Not, real huge trout and kokanee. We're talking 10 to 12, maybe a 14 incher if you're out on the deep halibut grounds and fishing for really big fish. Deep water lingcod with really big mouths. You can go with that 12 to 14 inch rainbow. And out of Westport in the past, we've used them and they work great. You know, simply brining these up in Pautzke's fire brine chartreuse, adding in some fire dye in chartreuse. And the reason I use the chartreuse and have switched from the green is because we talked about the value in kokanee and how shiny they are and reflective. And when you use the chartreuse, it adds a hint of color to the underside of your bait fish. Okay, it's going to add a light green to anything that's lighter or white. Maybe the fins will take on some color, but overall, those kokanee, Tommy, we don't have any to show you right now, are just as chrome as can be.
They're way more chrome than a trout.
So,
and that's what I was asking you, right? So when you catch trout, I'm like, what do the trout look like? Are they dark? Are they bright?
Kind
right?
of rainbow. Yeah.
You know, in my opinion, in terms of the ones that are a little bit darker, I'd rather not even. I mean, those are crab bait, or you can eat them if you want to.
Yeah.
But if they don't have a natural shine to them to begin with, you're not going to be able to add that in for some of the trout.
Yeah.
Whereas a kokanee's it's like a Christmas tree lighting up.
Yep.
I mean, it's just bright, shiny. It's perfect.
Well, because we're in that 65, 75 foot of water, and we had basically full sun today. It was a beautiful day out here, even with some wind and some chop and some waves. That light is penetrating deep in that clear ocean. And when it gets down there and refracts off of those kokanee, and with that UV on there, when it gets down to the point where natural light is done penetrating, and you go beyond that, you're still going to draw that UV light reflecting off of those cured baits. So if you haven't used it or still are questioning, yes, it's legal. You are fishing fish caught from fresh bodies of water, and you can use them as bait in salt water. And trout and kokanee just work fantastic. And this halibut is the one we got today. It was in shallow water. It's just by chance, you know. We were going after bigger lings. And then,
there's a lot of these bigger halibut in shallower water. And you'll find them kind of like one at a location, but they're not going to work to get your offering. So your offering has to be right place, right time, and it's got to be a slow presentation, and it's got to meet all of those requirements.
So the nice thing here, the key on this thing is you can literally feel it. You're in water, even with a little bit of current speed and boat control by the captain. You want to fish as vertical as you can. And you're basically banging that thing like you would a pipe jig off the bottom. Nice thing is you don't have any hooks to get wrapped up into the rock and the different types of bottom structure. And you can literally feel that thing land standing on end. And when it bangs, you simply lift the rod up. And it bangs, and sometimes you hit that shallow little bump and your rod's way up here. You just reel down. You just always keep it within a foot or two of the bottom, constantly banging that copper pipe, your lead weight off the bottom. It makes that noise. It gets their curiosity, and to hold it there for a minute and pause just to see if a fish is going to pick it up is basically the way you do it. Maintaining that contact. Don't let it lay there too long. Don't allow it to fall over. You can feel the difference once you get a knack for it, but you can literally just sit there and dance that pipe jig at 1 pound weight on the bottom, standing straight up, and you're just basically pogo sticking it along, and it works fantastic.
Yeah.
So
there's only a couple changes that I would make to this rig, and that would be to increase the hook size to at least a 10-aught. I'd probably go heavier than 50. I'd probably go at least up to 100.
And shorten the leader?
And I'd shorten the leader just a little bit, because we did have a couple other rigs that were hanging in the rocks.
They got hung up.
And so, you know, you want to bring it up just a little bit more so it's not dragging, because these things are negatively buoyant.
Yeah.
But they love them.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
They work fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our outing, as it were, on today. With what we got dealt and how we resolved, and the position we took, and what we ended up doing and salvage today. It was a fantastic day out here at Sekiu. Fishing the next couple of days, we'll see. We got some things to work through, sort out with you, right?
Yep.
With that being said, hey, before we jump out here, I want to remind everybody the kids' first annual Summit Lake and Fish Hunt Northwest Trout Derby 14 and under is happening this Saturday, May 22nd, starting at daylight. Fishing from the shore, fishing from a dock, fishing from a boat. Be over to the community center by 11 a.m. and bring your kids for your weigh-ins. You got 5 different categories to choose from. We got all the prizes and stuff over there yesterday, Tommy. We got 17 or 20 fishing rods to give away. Tackle boxes absolutely stuffed to the gills. See what I did there? With gear. We have a ton of raffle bags stuffed full of gear because not every kid's going to win, but we want you to be able to potentially win via raffle. It sounds like we're going to have a fairly good turnout. They're going to be serving hot dogs and beverages for the kids and adults. There's going to be additional items there to be raffled off. We got a Traeger that they're giving away via raffle.
Nice.
Wow. All kinds of great stuff. We've got a lot of folks helping out. It's going to be a really good day. The weather's going to be extremely nice as far as I know. So the first annual Fish Hunt Northwest Summit Lake Community Center 14 and under Trout Derby this Saturday starts at daylight. Hope to see you there. Additionally to that, June 11, 12, 13, we're over on the east side fishing Roosevelt Banks and Rufus Woods. We have seminars, free seminars going on. Teach you guys Saturday afternoon from some of the best in the region. How to fish Rufus for triploids, how to fish Banks for walleye and Roosevelt for walleye, and how to fish Roosevelt for those big Kokanee. By the way, speaking of Roosevelt, WDFW and the tribes recently announced that they are releasing upwards of 450,000 triploids into Roosevelt, Tony.
That's awesome.
Which is basically like they do in Rufus. Everybody's been so geeked out about Rufus this year. It's been very successful. We got to go over there and spend some time, and it was great, right? And
It was great.
oh yeah. And so they are now expanding the program. I hope we'll make a phone call again to see what's going on in that regard. But we'd like to see some of that over on the west side as well. It'd be nice to get some of our bigger bodies of water stuffed full of those big triploids that can get 3 to 5 to 8 to 10 pounds. I guarantee once you've done it and you've eaten them, you will fish for them if given the opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
Here on the west side of the state, right?
Yeah.
So a number of other things going on relative to fisheries and some updates from management and whatnot. We weren't going to delve into all that tonight because this is a quick in and out check-in from Sekiu as we are here live. We apologize. Apparently we streamed this via our new setup here to my personal Facebook page. I did.
What's this wee stuff?
Yeah, well,
you got a mouse in
team,
his pocket?
team,
He's got a
Tommy.
mouse in his pocket.
Team Tommy. Hey, I want to thank all the guys that jumped on board with you today.
I know, they're rock solid.
Yeah, good fishermen. Had a great time with everybody out here today. They're working feverishly right now, filleting out all this fish, and we got to divide up this halibut. But hey, we just want to do a quick check-in live from CQ, get you guys up to date on how the day went. Had a great time, overcame a few things, and made it successful. So, you know, I guess the takeaway is going into each and every morning when you're going to hit the ocean. Check your weather. Check yourself. Make sure all your gear is ready to go. Make sure you have a backup plan. Make sure you know how to try to troubleshoot what issues you may have.
Yeah.
And
you got to have spare parts. I mean, you got to be prepared to change out all the nominal stuff like fuel water separators, oil filters, add oil to the engine. You've got to have a good set of tools, right? You've got to have good comms, making sure your radio works.
And running out with a buddy boat. So we were in communication with Todd Gertz, Todd's Extreme Fishing. He's always out here, and we happened to leave port about the same time this morning, so we were tracking pretty much close proximity, and we were radioing to him just to give him a heads up. Tommy was to say, hey, here's what's going on, just letting you know. And if we would have needed anything, he would have been right there. And that's really what you need to do. Don't go out on these smaller boats. Don't go ahead and way out there all by yourself. You need to have a team effort on this thing and make sure you do it safe. No fish is worth your life, and make sure you have your plans laid out. Make sure people know where you are going, what time you're supposed to be back. All those things Tommy has covered in studio over the last several weeks to make it safe. So I think that's about it.
I think that's it. We got some work to do.
We got a lot of fish to clean. We got some cleanup on the boat to do. We got to figure out tomorrow. So we're going to get out of here. Appreciate anybody that jumped on tonight. And short and sweet, but we're on the road, bringing it to you live the best we can. And we're going to continue to do that. We just got to get this whole mess figured out. The beard. Okay. All right, we're out of here. Have a great weekend, everybody. Be safe.